Some actors are so wild, intense, or unpredictable. They made their co-stars completely break on camera. From Ryan Reynolds dropping jokes mid-scene to Leonardo DiCaprio bleeding and still acting, these moments were pure chaos. Ready to see the best ones? Here are 10 times actors made other actors break character on set. Let's kick things off with a master of intensity, Leonardo DiCaprio, whose powerful performances left even his co-stars totally speechless. Leonardo DiCaprio isn't exactly known for being funny on set. He's known for being super intense. Like, when he gets into character, he really gets into it. And sometimes, that can actually make his co-stars lose it. Not because they're laughing, but because they're shocked or overwhelmed by how real he gets. In The Wolf of Wall Street, there's this crazy scene where Leo's character is screaming and totally losing control. Jonah Hill, who played his business partner, said in interviews that Leo was so into it, it actually made him forget his own lines.
You piece of shit! What?
Jonah started laughing, not because it was funny, but because he didn't know how to react. That's how powerful Leo's acting was. Even Martin Scorsese, the director, talked about how Leo would just stay in character for hours. He'd rehearse hard, get super focused, and then, in the scene, he'd explode with energy. It was impossible to ignore. Other actors around him had to really stay on their game, or they'd get completely thrown off. There's also that scene where Leo smashes a glass in Django Unchained and cuts his hand, but doesn't stop acting. Even though he was bleeding, he stayed in character. Leo's intensity might leave people speechless, but what happens when Ryan Reynolds uses humor instead of seriousness to throw people off? Ryan Reynolds is just one of those guys who can say the weirdest thing with a straight face and still make you laugh like crazy. He has this super dry, deadpan humor that hits you out of nowhere. And the best part? He barely ever sticks to the script. In movies like Deadpool, he's famous for just making stuff up on the spot. And it's hilarious. Morena Baccarin, who played his love interest in Deadpool, has said that Ryan would say something totally unexpected during serious scenes, and it was almost impossible not to laugh. Like, imagine trying to act heartbroken while the guy in front of you is making up jokes mid-sentence. Yeah, good luck staying serious.
When you're like trying to work. But we were trying to come up with absurd and insane ways these characters would copulate.
Yeah.
And that's what was the fun in doing it. And when you see it, I mean, you should see what was left on the cutting room floor.
Even T.J. Miller couldn't keep a straight face when filming with Ryan. In the behind-the-scenes bloopers, you can see T.J. trying not to lose it, but Ryan just keeps going, adding joke after joke until everyone's cracking up. Ryan's humor isn't loud or wild. It's sharp and sneaky. He'll just drop one sarcastic line and boom, everyone's gone. And the crazy thing is, he doesn't even laugh at his own jokes. He stays completely in character while the rest of the cast is dying. But the next guy was an actual hurricane of energy. Let's talk about the one and only, Robin Williams. Robin Williams was honestly like a human firecracker. The man had so much energy, it was almost impossible to keep a straight face around him. Whether it was during live-action movies like Mrs. Doubtfire or just his voice work in Aladdin, Robin had this crazy ability to go completely off-script and still make it better than the original lines. In Mrs. Doubtfire, there were so many takes where the cast literally had to stop and laugh because Robin would just keep going. He'd throw in random voices, hilarious impressions, or physical comedy that wasn't even in the script. And the crew? Most of the time, they'd be laughing so hard, they'd ruin the shot too.
You come here often? You know, smoking's not good for you, especially if you're made from straw. Oh, this would scare the hell out of children. No.
Yeah, no, I don't think this one's working.
Even during the recording for Aladdin, the animators couldn't keep up. He improvised so much that they had over 16 hours of material to work with for just one character, Genie. And because he kept switching voices and personalities so fast, the other voice actors couldn't help but break character and laugh. But if there's anyone who could keep up in the chaos, it's the rubber-faced genius himself, Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is basically a walking cartoon. The way he moves his face, his body, even how he talks, it's like he's not real. And that's exactly why so many actors can't keep it together when they're in a scene with him. Take Dumb and Dumber, for example. He and Jeff Daniels had to play two of the dumbest characters ever. But the funny part is, Jim would often go completely off script. Like, they'd rehearse something one way, and then, in the real take, Jim would throw in some ridiculous noise or face that caught Jeff totally off guard. There are scenes where you can actually see Jeff trying not to laugh, but failing.
I've had a full life. I was a paper boy for a week. My father to child.
In Bruce Almighty, there's a scene where Jennifer Aniston is trying to cry, and Jim starts using his god powers in the background to mess with her. The scene was supposed to be emotional, but Jennifer kept breaking character because Jim was just too funny. He'd make these faces or say the line in a totally unexpected way, and it was game over. Jim might be unpredictable, but our next actor is just plain wild, in the best way possible. Let's see how Will Ferrell made even the funniest people completely lose it. Will Ferrell is just built different. He's not just funny, he's weird funny, in the best way possible. Like, this guy will commit to the most insane random joke and act like it's totally normal. That's what makes him so dangerous on set. His co-stars never know what's coming next. In Anchorman, he worked with Steve Carell, Paul Rudd, and others, and they've all said Will would throw out totally random lines during takes. 1 second, he's delivering his scripted line, and the next, he's yelling about milk being a bad choice, or doing something completely off the wall. Steve Carell, who's also hilarious, would just break character and start laughing. Honestly, who wouldn't?
I'd like to be friends with it.
Well, you certainly know how to compliment a woman.
Then, in Step Brothers, he teamed up with John C. Reilly, and that movie is basically just two grown men acting like 12-year-olds. Will improvised so much that half the scenes were different every take. There's this scene where he talks about activities in their room, and it's so ridiculous that John couldn't even finish the line. He just laughed and gave up. Speaking of unexpected laughter, how about someone whose awkward timing and deadpan delivery turned every scene into a cringe comedy masterpiece? Yes, we're talking about Steve Carell. Steve Carell is a legend when it comes to awkward, cringe-worthy comedy. If you've ever watched The Office, you already know how impossible it is to stay serious when he's playing Michael Scott. That character was basically a walking HR disaster, but somehow still lovable. And the reason it worked? Steve Carell made it real.
Not diabetes, okay? All right. See? Just the noise you made when you stood up. I could do.
He improvised a lot of his lines, which made scenes super unpredictable. The cast had no idea what was coming half the time. John Krasinski, who played Jim, and Rainn Wilson, who played Dwight, were always breaking character because Steve would say something so uncomfortable, it was hilarious. One of the most famous moments is the dinner party episode. Steve's performance was so painfully awkward, the entire cast struggled not to laugh. At one point, you can even see them covering their faces or turning away from the camera just to hide their reactions. Steve had this ability to make the most ordinary line feel insanely awkward. He'd pause at weird times, add little stutters, or say things in the creepiest voice. And it worked every single time. You could tell that his co-stars respected him so much, but they just couldn't keep a straight face. But sometimes, comedy doesn't even need to try that hard. That's where the dry and legendary wit of Bill Murray comes in. Bill Murray is a total legend, and not just because of Ghostbusters or Groundhog Day. It's the way he delivers his lines. Super dry, super straight-faced, that makes people laugh even when they're not supposed to. He doesn't even try that hard to be funny. That's what makes it funnier.
He slimed me.
In Ghostbusters, most of his lines weren't even in the script. He would just make stuff up on the spot, and it worked perfectly. Harold Ramis, who played Egon, was actually the director too, and even he couldn't stop laughing when Bill started throwing out random lines. There's this one scene where Bill talks about dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria, and it totally threw the cast off. You can literally see people trying not to laugh. Bill has this calm, chill energy where he just slides in with a joke you didn't expect. And because it sounds so casual, you don't even realize how funny it is until it hits you a second later. That's why he's so good at breaking people on set. You never know if he's going to follow the script or go rogue. While Bill breaks people with chill one-liners, Jack Nicholson breaks them with intensity alone. Jack Nicholson isn't funny like most of the other actors on this list. He doesn't make people laugh, he makes them freeze. The dude's got this scary level of intensity when he acts. Like, when he's in the zone, he becomes a whole different person. The best example of this is the movie A Few Good Men. There's this courtroom scene where Jack is yelling, "You can't handle the truth," and he's just going off. He was so loud, so emotional, and so real that Tom Cruise, who's also a great actor, was totally thrown off.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth! Son, we live in a world that has walls, and those walls have to be guarded by men with guns.
You can actually see it in his face. He wasn't just acting surprised, he was genuinely shook. And it's not just Tom. Other actors have said that when Jack delivers lines like that, it's hard to keep your cool. You know it's just a movie, but it feels like a real fight or argument. That kind of energy messes with your focus. Even seasoned actors feel nervous going up against him in intense scenes. From scary serious to outrageously silly, our next star throws all logic out the window and replaces it with pure chaos. Time to talk about the scene-stealing tornado that is Melissa McCarthy. In Bridesmaids, she stole every scene she was in, and she wasn't even the main character. Most of the time, Melissa doesn't stick to the script. She'll just go off on some wild rant, make up the weirdest lines, and say things that are so out there, her co-stars lose it. Kristen Wiig and Maya Rudolph, both hilarious themselves, had to redo so many scenes because they couldn't stop laughing at her.
I'm gonna take a nap.
Awesome.
Cool.
I'll take the first watch.
I'm not an air marshal. You don't need to take a watch.
Okay.
There's this one scene on the plane in Bridesmaids where she starts talking about air marshals and government secrets. It was mostly improvised. And the rest of the cast? You can literally see them holding back laughter or covering their faces. Which one was your favorite? Or did we miss someone who always makes people break? Drop it in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe for more fun behind-the-scenes moments, and don't forget to tap the bell so you never miss an upload.